Have you ever wondered where wealth comes from? Is there some secret wealth formula that only a handful of enlightened people get to discover? Is there some mystical code that must be cracked in order for you to attain this seemingly ever so elusive wealth that you've been chasing after? Is there some scientific formula that you have to have an IQ high enough to understand its meaning? Is it some version of E equals MC squared? Well, I don't think it is. I think wealth is available to almost everyone. And I don't think it's wealth that's been avoiding you. I think it's awareness of your access to the wealth that already exists. I'm going to give you, in a sentence, maybe the best sentence I've ever heard about income generation. Because when you first start out, it's so interesting. Like on your wealth journey, you first start out desiring to make a lot of money in income. So I'm gonna show you in this video how to go from $0 to $1 million. Not from $0 to just from $0 to $1 million. That'd be great, because you can do that. All you got to do is make $25,000 a year and work for 40 years, right? Okay, so that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how to go from $0, you're not making $1 million a year, or wherever you are between 0 and $1 million, from there to $1 million a year. I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you what I believe to be some of the most important principles that will help you get there, step by step. And anyway, so let's get into that. So here's the sentence. I got this sentence from one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite speakers, one of my like most kindred spirit communicators, none other than Daniel Priestley himself. And here's what Daniel Priestley said: income follows assets. Now, if you look at your income and you're not pleased with the income that you have, don't evaluate the income, evaluate the assets. What are the assets that you have that income is following? Now, some of you, you are your only asset. So look, I'm gonna give you a framework that I believe to be true. God is the source of what? Everything. You are the resource. Now, why do I say God's the source? Because God created everything out of nothing, right? So, in fact, the word abracadabra, if you spell it in Hebrew, abarakadabra, it literally spells God creates as God speaks. That's what the word abracadabra actually means. And what's really fascinating is abracadabra in most languages in the world. Like if you're an American, you say abracadabra. If you're a Brit, you say abracadabra. If you're German, you say abracadabra. Okay, anyway, I can't, sorry. That's what So, God is the source. He's, like people say, you can speak things into existence. No, you can't. You cannot speak things into existence. If you could speak things into existence, you would have already spoken something different into existence than what you got in existence right now. Because you're not the source. Only the source can speak things into existence. Bara, bara means to create out of nothing. In the Bible, the only person who creates is God, out of nothing. The only one who creates out of nothing is God. Now, God is the source, but we are the resource. What does that mean? That means we get to create stuff out of the stuff God has already created. So I'm the resource. I take the source, what the source has created, and then I repurpose it and then use it to produce a result that hasn't been produced before. Now, have you ever thought about this? It's a rant. Oh, don't do it, baby, don't do it. I'm going to do it. In Genesis chapter 1, it says, and God made the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. What if you went through life just looking for analogies that show you God? Because here's what the scripture says. And I know this is not a Bible study. I mean, I talk about the Bible when I'm teaching business because that's where I got all my great business stuff from. Okay, but the scripture says wisdom crieth in the streets. So you think you're looking for the answers, but God says the answers are looking for you. Now here's the question. Why can't they find you? Is that a good question? Seems like one, right? So the greater light, I believe, symbolizes God. Which is, the greater light is the what? What's the greater light? The sun. What's the lesser light? The moon. The moon represents us. Where does the moon get its light? It reflects from the sun. What's our job? To reflect God in our life. Are y'all tracking? Okay, but if the greater light rules the day, maybe day is a picture of heaven. If the lesser light rules the night, the heavenly realm. But the lesser light rules the night, that's a picture of the earthly realm, potentially. I'm not saying this is what that means, but this is something that thinking about that made me aware of. So, in order for the moon to properly reflect the light, it has to have the properties that can reflect light. It also has to be in the proximity of the light. And then, in order for me as a human being to benefit from that, in order for the people who you were sent to serve to benefit from the light that you reflect, they have to be in a place where the light is not blocked. So if I'm in this building and the moon's out, I can't see the moon. Not because it's not there, but because I'm not in a place where I can see it. So stop going through life thinking that because you are in a place where other people don't recognize the reflection that you're reflecting, that means you're not reflecting it. Stop thinking that you're not good enough, you're not enough because other people don't recognize it in you. It's there whether they can see it or not, if it's there. But then the question then becomes, are you reflecting light? Okay, you get it. So here's why I went into that whole rant. God's the source, you're the resource. The asset is the thing that you produce that income can follow. But the asset is something that you produce for other people. So I'm going to give you the definition that ChatGPT gave me for an asset. An asset is anything of value or resource that an individual, business, or organization owns or controls with the expectation that it will provide future economic benefit. Assets can take various forms and are typically categorized into different types based on their nature and usability. Notice, an asset is anything of value. Do you understand that life will pay you? When I say life, other people, let me say it that way. Other people will pay you in direct proportion to the value that you deliver to them. But if the value is underdeveloped by you, the pay will be underdelivered to you. But you can only develop value that you've discovered. That's why all transformation begins with awareness. What you're lacking is not access. What you're lacking is awareness of the access you have. Okay, so now I'm going to get into how do I create assets that income can follow? Well, I created this. I can't say I created. I didn't create. I discovered this formula. Here it is. Mindset plus skill set plus tool set equals assets, and income follows assets. So if I don't have the assets that I desire to have, it's because I don't have the mindset or the skill set or the tool set. Now, it's so fascinating because I was thinking about this. I was thinking about Austin from Boston, the physicist, and I started getting chills thinking about how all principles are microcosms of each other, right? And like how everything that is a picture of everything that is. And so, so we don't miss it, God just keeps repeating himself in nature. And we still miss it. We're like, yeah, I heard you, but what about this? Right? So I'm going to show you on the board. So if I say mindset plus skill set plus tool set, if I add these together, it equals assets. Well, guess what? Do you know what this is? Do you get it? Do you see it? Do you all see it? Oh, and we can put assets down here too. We might as well put assets down here. Okay, you ready? B, do. What? And see, our problem is we're so obsessed with this. We're obsessed with having. You know why? Because we don't understand that being speaks to our identity. And regardless of anything else, like you are seeking to discover and develop and deploy your identity into the marketplace, into the world, so that it has an impact. Okay, doing speaks to my activity. And then having speaks to my property. And so we want to have the property. But we want to skip the identity and activity part. You can't skip it. You can't, you can skip it, but you're going to find yourself frustrated. How many of y'all tracking? And so when I was thinking about, okay, why do people, even like people that you know, people that you love, people that you care about, people that who are even familiarly like a family member, friends, why do people who you see have so much potential, the difference between who we are and who we could be, the difference between what we're doing and what we could do, the difference between what we have and what we could have. Why do so many people that you love and you're close to have so much unrealized potential? Mindset. They don't know who they are. So what happens is, as the moon in our experience of life, based on the analogy I just gave you, instead of reflecting the light that is the source, we attempt to reflect what we perceive other people perceive as light. So we get our identity from the people around us, instead of bringing our identity to the people around us so their lives can change. Is what I'm saying making any sense? I don't mean to be off in the weeds of the ethereal, but mindset has to change. Our desire is for what we have to change. I want to have a nicer house and a nicer car and a bigger bank account, blah, 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 blah. And then when you get those things, you realize they're just those things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things. I like a nice car better than a hoopty. It's better. I've had cars that break down on the side of the road in the middle of the winter time, and you wonder if you're going to live. Not an exaggeration. I've had those cars. I've lived in roach-infested houses. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to buy all of my clothes for years from Amway, from what's it called? Goodwill, AmVets, and the Salvation Army. All my shoes, all my clothes. I know what it's like to buy a car for $50 from the junkyard, put a couple of parts on it, and drive it across the country. So I get the desire to have more, right? So an asset is something of value. How can I provide you with value if I don't know what you value? How's that possible? How's it possible for me to deliver value to you if I don't know what you value? Here's what most people do. They go through life delivering what they value to other people and wanting other people to pay them for it. And the other people don't even value it. But you don't understand, I work really hard digging this hole in the forest. I know, but I don't need a hole in the forest. If the thing you created, and just because you worked hard to create it, doesn't mean other people owe you for it. Can I say this without sounding mean? Because I don't mean to be mean, because I really do love y'all on YouTube and in this room, I really do. But you are already being paid in direct proportion to the value that you are delivering to the people you're delivering it to. And if you desire to get more money, get paid more money, don't just deliver more of the same value, figure out how you can deliver a higher level of value to a larger group of people in a shorter period of time. Ta-da! Okay. So, Mindset. So when I say mindset, what am I talking about? Because I could go into a rant for the next 6 hours on just these 9 words on the board. Fascinating that there's 9 words. Oh, there's 10. That's fascinating too. Okay, but I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to chase rabbits right now. What mindset is essential if you want to go from 0 to millionaire? That's a good question, right? What's the mindset I need to go from 0 to millionaire? Discipline, millionaire. Okay, watch this. In order for me to make more money than I'm making, my attitudinal beliefs about wealth must change. Okay. So what do I, change into what? Change from what? So a lot of people have attitudinal beliefs about wealth that wealth is morally wrong. Let's don't pretend that people don't have that belief. How many of y'all know somebody with that belief? Right. How many of you at least used to have that belief? Like, you make too much money, something, you got to be doing something wrong. You must be doing something illegal, right? So we have this belief that, but if you have that belief, you will never work to become something you despise. Right? So you have an internal conflict and you don't even realize that the reason wealth creation is not working for you is because you are out of alignment with your own desires. Why? Because you believe wealth is morally wrong. I was thinking about people who say, like I've heard many people say MLM is a scam, right? Okay, multi-level marketing is a scam. That's what I heard people say. Now, I don't personally believe that. I don't believe that at all. I believe the reason people who believe multi-level marketing is a scam believe multi-level marketing is, I don't believe it's the best business opportunity in the world either. So let's don't get it twisted, okay? But I believe the reason people believe it's a scam is because they believe that the most important and most valuable thing that you get from working is money. And I submit to you that the least valuable thing you will get from working is money. Well, what else do you get? Like, when I say that, how many of y'all in your mind, at least a little bit, you think, well, if it's not money, what is it? Anybody thinking that, right? Okay, do you understand that's one of the ways they keep people poor, by making them think that money is the primary benefit of work. It's way down on the list. It's like the gravy on the, I was going to say the gravy on the cake. The gravy on the mashed potatoes. It's like the icing on the cake. Like, the money's just the money. And I'm not saying the money's not important. It is important. It's just not even close to the most important things. So here's what I get out of working. I get to develop a new skill. When I work in a business, I get to develop a whole lot of new skills. So the skills that I learn while I'm building the business, even if the business never makes me a lot of money, the lessons that I learn and the skills that I develop are worth more than the money I make. Oh, watch this. The relationships that I build. Do you know I have friends that I met through multi-level marketing 35 years ago that are still some of my closest friends today, even though they don't do multi-level marketing anymore and I don't do multi-level marketing anymore. But because I was in multi-level marketing and they were in multi-level marketing, we learned skills that didn't produce as much for us in multi-level marketing as they did in other arenas. But see, one of the reasons multi-level marketing can be so beneficial, and I'm not saying go do multi-level marketing, that's not my point. But my point is to go find something that mimics multi-level marketing, which is what? Apprenticeship and mentorship. Because when I think about some of the wealthy, the first wealthy people I ever met were multi-level marketing people. And I learned things from them that not from things they said, because more is caught than taught, but from things I watched them do. Is what I'm saying making sense? So, but you've got to get rid of this idea that wealth is somehow inherently evil, and your attitudinal beliefs about wealth have to change. So wealth is not inherently evil. You're not going to become a worse person if you make more money, unless you're already a terrible person. Then you will become a worse person if you make more money. But if you're a decent human being, more money is not going to make you a terrible human being. Okay, y'all with me? So you have to change your attitudinal beliefs about money. So if I have money, it gives me options. It gives me options about who I can help. It gives me options about where to live, what kind of car I drive. If I have more money, I can buy a safer car for my family to live in. Drive in. Safer car for my family to drive in. I can buy a nicer house for my family to live in. There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly normal. Okay. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, go watch my video on the money bee principle, right? It's something to do with money bee, where I teach about perturbation and how people don't like bees and bees don't like people generally, but bees are essential for people to stay alive. Do you realize, like, the work that you do produces so much byproduct that makes other people's lives better? When I was poor, me just living my life doing stuff for me didn't make a whole lot of other people's lives better. But guess what? Now that I make a lot of money, I don't just buy raggedy cars from the junkyard anymore. I buy nice cars, and I take them to, I have a car wash membership on all my cars except for my Rolls Royce, which I pay somebody to come and wash it by hand. And they charge me about $130 a week to wash my car. So their life is better, and all the people they buy stuff from, their lives are better. So there's a butterfly effect when you make more money that impacts more people's lives than just the charities that you give to. And there's nothing wrong with giving to charities. I give to charities, so that's not the point. You have to understand that the more money you make, the better the world becomes, whether intentionally or unintentionally, because of you. Are y'all tracking? Okay. So, attitude and beliefs about wealth have to change. Awareness of the building blocks of wealth have to increase. You have to become more aware of how wealth is created. Now, here's what I recommend. I recommend do a study. Do a wealth study. Do a study on how poor people think and how rich people think, and what's the difference. Do a study on what poor people do to make money and what rich people do to make money, and do a study. Do a study on like what poor people accumulate and what rich people accumulate. Do a study. Like, poor people accumulate televisions. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm serious. Rich people accumulate books. Poor people entertain themselves. Rich people educate themselves. Are y'all tracking? Is what I'm saying making sense? Okay. By the way, I don't read books to learn how to do something so I can make more money. I read books so I can understand the way life works better, because when I do that, then I can work life better. Okay, cool. So, and then the application of the business principles of wealth. So, all business principles don't produce wealth. There are some businesses that struggle. Why? Because they don't understand the business principles that can produce wealth. If you own a business, doesn't it make more sense if you're going to do business? By the way, building a business is way harder than just working a job. And I don't mean say just work a job, like work a job's not important, but just because you're good at a job doesn't mean you'd be good at running that business. Okay. So you have to learn, like, your mindset about business has to change. Your mindset about making money for the purpose of spending it has to change. Like, what if you stopped thinking that the primary purpose of money was buying something, and you started believing that the primary purpose of money is to turn it into more money? You'd make it faster, hold on to it longer, and spend it slower. If you'd, like, think about what I just said. You'd make it faster, hold on to it longer, and while you're holding on to it longer, ideally multiply it, and then spend it slower. There's a concept. Okay, so when your mindset changes, and then you start perceiving wealth as an opportunity for you to do more good, for the people that you love the most and the causes that you care about the most, wait, watch this now, and yourself. Let's stop pretending that we only want to make more money for other people, because here's the reality. None of us like other people that much. Now think about it. Like, if there's one parking space and there's two cars, who do you want to get it, you or the other guy? Now you're saying, well, I'll let them have. That's not my question. Who would you like to have it? And see, what we got to realize is we have to realize that self-interest is not always selfish. Okay. I stopped riding a motorcycle when my children were small. You know why? Because I was a motorcycle idiot. You say, what's a motorcycle idiot? One of those idiots who can't ride a motorcycle slow. I couldn't ride it slow. And if I wasn't going 100, I wasn't on it, right? And I was thinking about me fastening my children in car seats when they were little kids. I'm thinking to myself, why am I fastening them in car seats? I'm riding around on this motorcycle like an imbecile. They need me more than I need them. Me staying alive is an imperative for their lives. I said, if the Lord lets me make it home safe on this thing, I ain't gonna ride 100. and I'm never getting on one again. Why? Because I got these little beautiful goldens that are depending on me for their life. Yeah, golden nuggets, yeah. So I've got to apply, I've got to have the mindset that creating wealth through business, here, can I tell you something about business? It's harder than having a job. But one of the, you know what, remember, if you start a business, you know one of the most valuable things you'll get out of starting a business? You will finally learn how to stop working for money. What does that mean? Like, you will work to build something that doesn't pay you over a long period of time. That book, B.O.S.S Moves, this book right here, I wrote this book. It took me about 1.5 years to write this book. You know how much money I made while I was writing it? Off of this book? None. Now, this book is an asset that income follows. How much income follows? I don't know, about $500,000 a year from this book. These pieces of paper with these words on them. And these words came out my head. Are y'all tracking what I'm saying? God's the source, I'm the resource, this is the asset that I created. Okay, y'all are tracking. Okay, so we got mindset, now skill set. The most important skill sets that you can develop in order for you to create wealth, number one, is you must develop the skill set of how to discover value. This is what I mean when I say stop trying to be more interesting, be more interested. See, when we meet people, you can tell whether you're interested or interesting by whether or not you're making statements or asking questions. If you're making statements, you're attempting to be interesting. But people who are seeking to be interesting are boring because they just want to talk about themselves. Oh, and then he did this, and then he did this, and then he did this, and then he did this. Shut up. But what if they said, well, what about this? What about that? So, how's this? How's that? How's your family? Hey, how's life treating you? And but not just asking it as a series of questions so you can check. What if you actually cared about their answer? Like you actually cared about their answer like it mattered. One of the biggest problems a lot of entrepreneurs have is they don't have enough empathy. You don't have enough others care. You don't care about whatever you see people as a stepping stone. Discover value. So now, if I'm going to talk about value, discover value. Okay, what is value? Where does value come from? Like, I hate it when somebody says something and it's not clear, or it's only semi-clear, and then I spend the rest of my day like, well, they said that, but what did they mean? So, is it okay if I share with y'all really quickly where value comes from? How I can discover what you value, like how you can discover what I value or other people value, so that you can deliver that value and they'll pay you for it. Y'all ready? Here we go. Value comes from past perceived voids create present perceived values. What does that mean? Things that you feel like were missing in the past are things that you seek in the present. Oh, so what do you feel like you've been missing your whole life? Go out and ask people, so what do you feel like is missing in your life? Well, the big three, right? Health, wealth, relationships, right? Either I'd like to be healthier than I am, I'd like to be wealthier than I am, or I'd like to have more or better relationships than I have, right? But then start asking people questions about why they don't have that, why those things are missing. Why do you feel like it's so hard for you to have, make more money? Well, because there are no jobs, okay? So is it possible that maybe there's another way to make money other than having a job? Is that possible? Sure. Well, what would that way be? Do you see what I'm saying? So you have to ask questions and care about the answers enough to be able to develop value. You can't deliver value to someone until you discover what's valuable to that someone. So past perceived voids create present perceived values. Past perceived violations create present perceived virtues. What does that mean? Like, if somebody has done something intentionally bad to you in the past, it causes you to value the protection that keeps that from happening to you again in the present. Amen. Can I get a witness? Yeah. So what we have to do is we have to understand do you understand the thing that you went through, or the things that you went through so that you could help the millions of people that you were created to serve in the first place. And if you hadn't gone through that, you wouldn't be able to help them because you don't even know you don't even know how they feel. It blows my mind. People who have never invested in themselves to learn a new skill, go out and create an offer, so-called, and then they wonder why nobody wants to buy it from them. Because you can't even feel what that person feels like when they buy something because you've never bought something to make your life better. So you can't even address how they feel if they say yes while they're contemplating saying yes. You can't even talk to that. Why? Because you've never done it. Right? And you hate salespeople. Why? Because most of the salespeople that you've encountered in your life were terrible and they didn't know how to sell, so you don't like salespeople. Why? Because you believe that selling is convincing somebody to do something they don't want to do, to buy something they don't want to buy for more money than they can afford, and they don't care about the thing anyway. But that's not selling. That's convincing. Convincing is when I attempt to get you to do something I desire you to do for my reasons. Persuasion or selling is when I help you make a decision you already desire to make for your own reasons. Guess what? I don't care what you sell. As long as it's something that creates value for another human being, there are already thousands, maybe tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people in the world who would already love to buy what you'd already love to sell if they only knew you existed. But they don't know you exist because I'm going to get to that. And by the way, some of you are saying, I wish you could get to the point already. Right. That's your problem. You don't know the answer, and you think you know how somebody who knows the answer should deliver the answer, but if the answer made sense to you, you'd already be doing it. You wouldn't be watching this video in the first place. Okay. None of this is, I don't have any filler here. By the way, this is the most important part. Okay, so values, people's values come from past perceived voids create present pursued values. Past perceived violations create present pursued values. So things like if you've been done wrong in the past, you will work hard to protect yourself and others from that happening to them in the future. Okay, number 3, present perceived virtues create present perceived values. In other words, things that you perceive are good right now are things that you seek right now. Does that make sense? So for me, I'm 63, and so to me, like being physically strong is important to me. Like physically strong. Why? Because I know that as we get older, if we get weaker, it increases the rate at which death shows up at our door. What does that mean? Did you know there's a direct correlation between grip strength? Was it you that told me about walking speed? Yes. And walking speed to longevity of life. Why? Because when people get old and they can't hold anything anymore, if they fall, they can't catch themselves. Like, we need, like, strength, flexibility, mobility, endurance. All those things are important to me. So guess what I do? I work on them every day and I measure them every day. Why? Because I want to make sure that I move my body. I want to make sure I move my body. I don't want to be strong so I can look strong. I want to be strong so I can be strong. If I happen to look strong, that's a bonus. Are y'all tracking? Okay. So that's something I value, which is why, like, I've invested all of this money and time and effort and energy into this stuff that makes me stronger. Okay, y'all are tracking. That's why I eat one meal a day, because it makes me stronger. My body's not spending all day digesting food. It just has like a little 6-hour window. Maybe, I think it might even be a 5 or 6 hour window. Like, the glucose spike is only going to go up for 5 or 6 hours, and after that, it's a wrap. Okay, so you have to why? Because that's one of my present perceived virtues. Now, lastly, this is why y'all are watching right now. This is why y'all are here right now, because future perceived visions create present pursued values. So there's something I can see for myself and the people I love in the future, so I am willing to work very hard for that right now, even if it takes a long time to get here. Do you understand? Let's say it takes you 10 years to go from where you are to millionaire, right? Y'all ready for the news flash? 10 years is going to go by anyway, whether you become a millionaire or not. So yeah, might as well do it. If that's an objective of yours. If it's not an objective of yours, it could be something else. Because a millionaire is just somebody else's arbitrary standard. Millionaire, billionaire. Like, and I don't, y'all have heard me say this before, but I'll say it again. I don't set goals. I think it's a very good way to frustrate yourself. I have objectives that I'm working towards, but when I make it a goal, then it has to be done by this time, and I don't get to control the times and the seasons. I just get to control how faithful I am in the process. And the times and the seasons take care of themselves because everything's beautiful in his time, not mine. Okay. So I discover value. I find out what y'all value. Then I go create something, develop something. I'll write a book, or I'll create and invent an invention, or I'll develop a coaching program, or whatever the thing is that I do. It's so amazing how everything works in cycles. Like when electric cars came out, they were all the rage. Now there are people like, I don't want an electric car, right? I don't want the inconvenience of charging my car for people who drive long distances. For people who live in town, like I could do fine in an electric car. I could do fine because I don't go anywhere. One of my cars is like a 2018. It has like 21,000 miles on it. Another car is like a 2021. It's got like 27,000 miles. I don't go anywhere in a car. Except around Tampa. Feels like it's way far, like Tampa's an hour from Tampa sometimes, right? Okay, so until you discover what people value, you can't deliver value to them. I mean, you can't develop value for them. So I discover what's valuable, then I develop something valuable, and then I deliver that value. Now, here's what's really cool. You can develop a transformational solution for people that you sell for $20. Why $20? Well, because if it's only $20, it's easy to create. And if it's only $20, it's easy to sell. Or it could be $200. Again, easy to create, easy to sell. Or it could be $2,000. A little more challenging to create, but not hard. Not as hard as some of the stuff you're already doing, right? And so what happens is I need to develop some kind of transformational mechanism for other people that helps them get from where they are to where they desire to be. Now, when I develop that transformational mechanism, I have to make sure I give it a name that they understand, not a name that I understand that makes them think I'm smart and they're dumb. That's why it's so important not to say things like, well, I help people overcome past trauma. Well, that's not clear. If the transformation's not clear, then the transaction won't happen. It won't happen. There's nothing wrong with helping people overcome trauma. There's just a better way to say it. What kind of trauma? Was I in a car accident? What kind of trauma? Like, I help people with their mental health. What does that mean? That's not, so can I give y'all some components of how to describe the value you create in a way that makes it desirable by other people? Is that okay? Say that's okay? Okay, here it is. Number one, it must be measurable. What does measurable mean? There's a clear before and a clear after. Before the transformation, it was this, but after the transformation, it'll be this. What does that mean? I help people, like if it's in the arena of health, I help people go from weak and sickly to strong and vital, right? Oh, okay, I know what that means, right? If it's in their area of relationships, I show people who feel unattractive how to feel more attractive so people perceive them as attractive so they can develop the relationships they desire to have, right? So I'm talking in plain English, 3rd to 5th grade language, not a bunch of promulgated esoteric cogitations. Okay, so if I'm talking about wealth, I show people who are making 6 figures how to make 7 and 7 how to make 8. I show people how to leave the 9-to-5 rat race and create a financial life that they love. Do you see what I'm saying? You got to learn how to talk in ways that don't impress people but impact people. Okay, you are with me. Okay, so number one, it needs to be measurable. Number two, it needs to be desirable. By the way, not something you desire them to have, something they desire to have. Talk to people about results they desire. So, no, you don't understand. I'm the greatest, mindset coach. I help you with your mindset. Okay, what does that mean? That's not measurable, right? Now, it may be desirable if I'm already thinking that. But what I want to do when I'm talking to you about a transformation I can help you have, I want to join the conversation you already got going on in your noggin. I don't want you to join the conversation I got going on in mine. Because then I got to teach you a whole new language, a whole new way of thinking. Okay, cool. So it needs to be desirable. Number 3, it needs to be believable. They need to believe that you have the ability to help them get that transformation. By the way, why does it need to be measurable? Because what they're going to pay you with is money, and money is always measurable. You count the money. If you can count the money, and if you can't count the transformation, you can count on the fact that a transaction will not happen. Are y'all tracking? Okay. So measurable, desirable means they desire it. It needs to be believable, which means you need to be congruent. Remember I said earlier, you can lie with your words, but your energy always tells the truth. You have to believe in the transformation you're proclaiming, because if you don't, they will be able to tell. And you have to believe that you can get it, not just for you, but you have to believe that you can get it for them. Otherwise, they can tell. And then you got to make sure you look the part. You got to make sure that, as my brother Jeff said to me a long time ago, probably 30-something years ago, he said, Myron, I'm going to tell you something. Everything about you says to your client, either buy from me or don't buy from me. You can't afford to have anything say, don't buy from me. I'm like, okay, got it, right? And then, lastly, it needs to be stateable in a soundbite. You need to be able to say it in a way that's succinct. Like, people aren't going to listen to you give them a word salad or a drunkalogue. Like, well, what I do is I help people get in touch with their inner being and nope. They check out. They don't tell you to, but one of the reasons, if you're not clear, one of the reasons people check out is because they don't want you to know they feel stupid when you say something they don't understand. They're not going to say, well, I don't understand what you mean, because that'll make them feel stupid. So what they say instead is, no, I don't need that right now. And what they're doing is protecting their own self-worth and their own mind. Now, so we talked about assets. We talked about assets a little bit. We talked about mindset. We talked about skill sets. By the way, what are some of the skill sets? I'm talking about in business, they are lead generation, creating a core product offer. By the way, did you know you don't have to create a product? There's this thing called affiliate marketing. You can literally go find an offer that somebody else has created, offer their offer, and get paid as much as 50 to 70% of the money you get paid for making the sale. My top affiliate makes between $8,000 and $36,000 a month. That's how much money he makes selling my stuff to people he knows. What? So I know I make an extra 7 figures a year selling other people's offers. Part-time. So I'm not giving you theory. Once I get done with all this, I'm going to give you the math, and then I'm going to be like Pharaoh and let God's people go. Okay, so do I have time to do this? I'm going to make time to do it. Okay, so the first thing you got to do, if you want to be able to sell, you have to have somebody to sell to. If you have an offer, let's say you found an offer somewhere out there in the world. Maybe you're an affiliate for me, or you're an affiliate for Russell Brunson, or you're an affiliate for ClickBank. It doesn't matter. You have to have somebody to sell to. You have an offer and you don't have an audience. It doesn't matter. So how do you create an audience? Where do you get these people? You have to create content. What does that mean? 7-11-4, Daniel Priestley again. Daniel Priestley said, Robin Dunbar, he said, people only have the ability to focus on so many things at a time. You only have the ability to focus on so many people at a time. We got the people in our family circle, then we have our friend circle, right? We got our family circle, we got our friend circle, and then our acquaintance circle. And then after that, we're like, I'm out of bandwidth. But then he talked about this thing called, I forgot what he called it, social something, where we believe like we know people because we've seen them on television or we've seen them in magazines, so we feel like we know them, right? And so we feel like we have this relationship based on people that we've seen, even though we never talked to them, we never heard of. I mean, we heard them, we know what they look like. So if we see them, oh, there goes so-and-so. Hey, how you doing, so-and-so? Can I take a picture? We do that because we've consumed their content over a period of time. So watch what happens. Robin Dunbar said 7-11-4. People need to spend 7 hours with you, have 11 interactions on 4 different platforms, and then they feel like they know you, like you, and trust you. Then they'll buy from you. So here's what he said. He said, this is what you want to do. You want to make sure that you have a deep enough pool of content for people to wade around in, not wait around in, wade around in this pool of content before they meet you, so that when they meet you, there's less resistance. So let me ask you a question. Is there, if let's say I got the day off today, I've got the day off, or any one of these other people in this room have the day off. Do you have and I want to binge watch you like people binge watch Netflix. Do you have 7 hours of content on the internet that I could watch today? Right? Because if you don't, like, you are the hurdle. Right? But I don't like how I look on camera. Okay? Keep judging yourself. Or you can just put out content that's helpful to people, and then they won't care how you look. One of the most remarkable humans I've ever met is a guy named GWT. Have you all ever heard of Glenn W. Turner? Anybody in here ever heard of Glenn W. Turner? Okay. Glenn W. Turner had a pet cleft palate, and he talked like this. This guy was one of the most successful motivational speakers in the 70s. Built a $68 million a year seminar business, and he talked like this because he wasn't so self-conscious about what people thought about how he talked. Mind-blowing dude. I'm like, this joke ain't playing. And if you watch, like if you go home and look up, I'm saying he's remarkable because he overcame something that was apparent to everyone. And because he didn't care, they didn't care. You're so caught up on, like, my head's too big. You think your head's too big? My nickname is Big Head. My brothers call me Big Head. To this day, they say, what's up, Big Head? Nah, Big Head, don't even do, like, literally. Why? Because my head was this size when I was in first grade. Like, my head, like, I see pictures of me when I was a little kid, and I say, oh, that's why they called me Big Heads. Like, I had this little bitty body and this, like, Sherman people. I could stand on my head without using any arms. No, I couldn't really, but that's how it felt, right? And so you got to stop worrying about how you think other people are going to receive you and just create content that's valuable. By the way, when you first start creating content, it's going to be terrible. But guess what? When you first started to learn how to walk, all you did was fall down. What would you do? Well, you know, this walking thing ain't working. I think I'll just let my mama carry me for the rest of the month. No! Okay, you got to create content. Number 2, you have to attract an audience. And that's what creating content does. It attracts an audience. You must attract your audience. Do you understand that because you're you, because you're not Tony Robbins, because you're not Myron Golden, because you're not Russell Brunson, because you're not Robert Greene, there are people who will be able to relate to you better than any other person in the world, and they're waiting for you to show up, but you're hiding because there's things about you that you think you don't like because you thought other people didn't like it. You're still going around believing that you aren't who your 3rd grade teacher told you aren't, or who your guidance counselor told you aren't. You're so familiar with your identity, you can't recognize your identity. Okay, y'all get it. So you attract your audience. Okay. Why? You can't attract your audience if you don't publish, if you don't make what you know and who you are and how you can help public. That's what publish means, right? Okay. So create content, attract an audience, build a brand. And not just a brand, a personal brand. I love the idea of a personal brand. I would tell you the story, but I'll just tell you in a sentence. When I learned how to sell, I thought selling was the master key. And I thought people who talked about marketing because they didn't know how to sell. And then I learned how to do marketing, and I thought, oh, marketing's the actual master key. And then I heard people talk about branding. I'm like, brand, man. People were talking about branding because they're not good at sales and they don't know how to do marketing. And then I accidentally built a brand without even trying, and then I realized, oh, building a brand is the bee's knees. It's the cat's meow. It's the whole, like, it's the game. So here's what I mean when I say build a brand, okay? Did you know the #1 reason people say yes or no to an offer is not the price, not the product. The #1 reason people say yes or no to an offer is based on who brought it to them. What? Yeah. It's the number one reason. Hi, my name is 𝐁𝐸 from 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐥𝐸. I'm looking to start a mentorship program, and we're looking for 12 people that would click. I don't know 𝐁𝐸 from 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐥𝐸. Don't know him. Phone rings. You answer your phone. Hello? Yeah, this is Damon John. Hey, this is Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. Yeah, we're looking to build a mentorship program. We're looking for 12 entrepreneurs. Your business came across our radar. Would you like to be considered as one of those? Yes. Not how much is it, not how long will it take, not where do I have to go, not what do I have to do, not what do I have to stop doing. It's just yes. Why? Because of who brought it to you. So if that's the case, this is what building a personal brand means. Here's what it means. Y'all ready? Everybody say I'm ready. Okay, here we go. Here's what building a personal brand means. It means that you are becoming the person that people are willing to say yes to before they know what the offer is. Okay. So lastly is offering your offers. Now, here's what happens when you offer your offers. I'm going to do it really, really quickly. If your offer, like mine used to be a long time ago, is a $20 book, I'm going to get the $20 book. I wrote this book from the trash man to the cash man. I wrote this book, what is this, 2025, 2006. I wrote this book 19 years ago. So I want you to think about what I'm saying now. I want you to really let it settle in. While I was writing the book, I didn't get paid at all. Now I wrote this book in about 3 days. I wrote this book in 3 days, had it published within 45 days, had to get the book cover designed, all that. So I had it published within 45 days. While I was writing the book, I didn't make any money. Can you work on something for 45 days without getting paid? Can you work on something for a year without getting paid to build a system? I wrote this book. Why did I write from the trash man to the cash man? Because I was a trash man. I drove a garbage truck for $6.25 an hour. That's what I did during the day. Guess what I did at night? I went out at night and had appointments to sell financial services, insurance and investments, mutual funds, life insurance. Okay? This book that I wrote 19 years ago makes me $8,000 to $12,000 a month 19 years later. It's probably been a good 17 years since I've read it. But it doesn't matter. This is an asset that income can follow. Now, we've sold about 175,000 copies of this book. Okay? Cool. Watch this. To make $1 million, all you have to do is make 50,000 sales of a product that makes you $20 profit. Now, I'll do that part of the math for you in a minute, just so you know I'm not trying to hide anything from you, okay? If you're multiplying two numbers that end in 0, 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, and then you count the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, boom. Ta-da! I sold 50,000 books. Now you say, Myron, how do you sell 50,000 books? Write the book. You got to get started somewhere. Write the book. But while you're writing the book, start building the platform. See, this book, you know what this book is? This book is a path. This is my journey that I'm taking you on. This is not my journey. This is the journey that I'm taking you on. You know why I called it from the trash man to the cash man? This is not my story. Here's why I called it from the trash man to the cash man. Because you believe you're smarter than a trash man. So if the trash man became the cash man, you know you're going to get rich. That's the implication. Are y'all tracking? Okay, so wrote this book. Now, watch this. I found out that, oh, by the way, some of you are probably thinking, yeah, but if you sell the book for $20, you don't make $20 on it. I actually make about $24 on it, even though I only sell it for $20. How's that possible? Well, it cost me about, let's do the math, okay? So you know I'm not keeping anything from it. It cost me about $3 to print this book, right? And it cost me about $3 to ship it. Okay, that's $6. We charge $10, $9.99 to ship it for shipping and handling, because I got to pay somebody to ship it out. So if I subtract 3 plus 3 is 6. If I subtract 6, that's $4. If I add $4 to the purchase price, which is $20, every time I sell a $20 book, I make $24 profit. Okay, just wanted to make sure, like I'm not hyperbolizing anything. You say, I don't want to pay you $9.99 to have it shipped in hell. Don't buy the book. Or buy it on Amazon. It's only $9.99 for the ebook, and you can read the ebook. I just don't like reading ebooks, but other people do, so I made one. Okay? So, like, there's all the transparency. Okay, so watch what happens. If I'm multiplying two numbers that end in 0, I multiply two numbers, 10, I count the zeros. But guess what happens? If I move this zero off the back of that number and put it on the back of that number, the answer stays the same. If I create a $200 product, maybe it's an audio program, and I sell it for $200. Y'all remember Simon & Schuster audio, but what's that other place? 𝐍𝐈𝐻𝐻 Conant from back in the day, they used to sell cassette tapes. Okay, cool. $200, I only have to sell 5,000. That's 1/10 of the work to make the same amount of money. What? But what if I move another zero? I have a $2,000 home study course. It's got manuals, it's got workbooks, it's got videos, it's got audios. I sell it for $2,000. I only have to do 1/100th of the original work, and I make the same. This is why it's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a little money over a long period of time. Because if I sell 500 of a $2,000 offer, that's $1 million. 500 is 10 a week for 50 weeks out of a 52-week year. 10 a week is 2 a day. 5 days a week. You can have weekends off and have a 2-week vacation and still make $1 million a year. But what if I take another zero and I move that and I'm a $20,000 mastermind? I only need to make 50 sales a year. That's 1 a week. We have a $27,000 mastermind that has about 180 people in it. We have a $55,000 mastermind that averages between 80 and 100 people a year. I have a $350,000 mastermind that averages about 12 to 18 people a year. I have a $1 million mastermind. Last year, we had 3 people in that $1 million mastermind. You say, Myron, what are you saying? I'm saying that if I can sell something for $1 million, you can sell something for 20 or 200, maybe even 2,000. And maybe you're not comfortable enough past 2,000. Okay, get on the journey. You say, Myron, I don't have an offer. Guess what? I do this thing called the Make More Offers Challenge, right? And I'm landing the plane now, but watch this. I do this thing called the Make More Offers Challenge. The tickets for that, for the general admission, are $97. I'm not gonna write that now. Okay, the general admission tickets for that are $97. The VIP tickets are $297. The VIP Platinum tickets are $797. We max out at 40 of these. Now here's what happens. If you become an affiliate and you sell either one of these, we sell these, nobody else sells those but us. So if you sell either one of these, if you sell that, you get half the money. If you sell that, you get half the money as an affiliate. All you gotta do is sign up as an affiliate, it's free. Doesn't cost anything. People who believe in it have taken it, they become an affiliate, they send emails to the audience they're building, and it doesn't need to be my offer, it could be somebody else's. If you think I'm just trying to get affiliates, we have thousands of affiliates. Like if I never get another one, we'll be okay. I pay out between $20,000 and $60,000 a month in affiliate commissions to the people who sell my offers for me. Like I'm not trying to recruit you to sell my stuff. I'm just telling you, this is how the game works. And it works better than selling your time for money. This is how to go, like you want to do, like what's step by step. If you don't have an offer, become an affiliate for somebody with an offer. Build an audience through the content that you create and then constantly refer those people. Now here's the caveat. When you're creating content, make sure that you do 10 pieces. This is you can do less than 10, you can do 5, but I mean, at least 10 pieces of content that just serves people, which I call community service content, where you're not selling anything, and then for every one promotion you do of an offer. I'm telling you, if you will do this, it'll change the game for you. And you too can discover how to create wealth for your family. Hope this was helpful. Stay blessed by the best, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.